Today we have Buck Wise on the podcast. I saw you worked with some huge names, building brands, doing marketing. I'm excited to jump into your journey and how you got to working with some of the massive companies that you've been able to work with.
So some of the most interesting campaigns that I worked on at the time were pumpkin spice latte, Frappuccino, Nike running, Nike golf. People love to hear about like how these brands are built and create more success. I tried to work directly with Nike. So I had a mentor. He's like, "What's your skill?" And I said, "I can do it all." He goes, "I've never seen a job description that says I do it all." We hire people to do one thing exceptional.
You can tell the whole world, here's one thing that you got to remember for the rest of your life. What would that thing be?
If you knew you wouldn't fail, what would you do today? Too many people are stuck in fear, and they'll never truly live until they remove it, face it, and go right through it.
Welcome back to another episode. Today we have Buck Wise on the podcast, and we've been trying to get Buck for a long time. Buck, you've done a lot in your career, man. You know, I've been following you, been watching you. We used to live in the same building, and I remember the first time I saw you, I was like, dang. You know, I looked you up on IG, and I saw you worked with some huge names, building brands, doing marketing, like all kinds of cool stuff, right?
Yeah.
And I appreciate you being here, man. I know that our schedules haven't aligned for a little while, so I'm glad that we were able to make it happen, and I'm excited to jump into your journey and how you got to, working with some of the massive companies that you've been able to work with.
Well, I'm honored to be here, Austin. I'm going to be honest with you. Only the big dogs get on this podcast. There's no pay to play if you're trying to get on this podcast. You got to be legit to talk to One Roof Real Estate.
I love it, dude. I love it, man. Yeah. Well, dude, we're excited, bro. So let's just, for the viewers, there's a lot that I want to dive into, but how did you get into the world of marketing and media and social media and all of that and building brands and just like, what were you doing that led up to that? At one point, were you always an entrepreneur?
Yeah, I don't believe most people. So if you're watching this, you're going, "Oh man, here we go. We're going to get a whole college dissertation on this guy's background." I really don't believe most people give a shit about like where you've been, what you've done. I get it. You got to add some credibility. You would need some receipts to show people. So what I like to do is tie in kind of my background with a couple of like learning lessons for entrepreneurs. And would you say mostly people who are watching this are entrepreneurs?
Or wannabe
entrepreneurs. Yeah. And you're just afraid to take the first start.
Yep.
So what I would say is, in the beginning of my career, I was 17 years old. I worked for a company called iHeartRadio. And I had a producer job, and they would put me on in the middle of the night, and they would say, "Here, you can practice." So you had, the RE27 Electro Voicer like this, the SM7B Shure. And you have a big board, massive board with all the lights. And you'd have to learn how to play music, stop, talk, keep people interested and entertained, build a community, and then get them to call in or to run a call to action, some sort of behavior that you need this audience to do. So at a very early age, I was learning the art of content creation, how to drive impact, how to give value, and then how to make a movement and build a reoccurring community that just kept coming back, kind of like what you're doing with your podcast, right? So I learned that at 17 years old. Now I got the opportunity to go have my own show, and then eventually I worked with Ryan Seacrest, and he and I had a show together. 45 markets we were syndicated.
Wow.
And so that's really where I honed in on the creative aspect of entrepreneurship. And that's the challenge, is that's the shiny object. Most entrepreneurs love I got a logo. Talk to any new entrepreneur. Like, I got a logo. We've got a podcast. We're going to do ads and TV, bus benches, billboards, like creative. And that's because that's all anybody knows until somebody teaches you otherwise. So from that, I'll speed it up for you. Digital was emerging, and I had this opportunity to create an agency because I had clients coming from the TV radio side, and they were like, "We don't know how to build a strategy with MySpace or Facebook or any of these new platforms." Much like you, you were kind of diving into social when it first launched, and you were inquisitive in nature. And so I was the same way. So I was like, shoot, I guess I should start a company. Like, I don't know. I didn't ever want to start a company. I was like, I'm on-air talent. I'm a personality. I talk for a living. People are interested in me. That's what I always thought I was. But then I was like, wait a minute, I could build something here. And that's when I got bit by the bug, and I started an agency. And what I learned was business acumen. Oh, wait, I got to hire somebody. What's a P&L? How do you run it? Did I lose money on taxes this year?
Yeah.
Hell yeah, I did. That's where I really started to craft. So yeah, I knew creative, I knew strategy, but I started to build business strategy. And so I sold that agency to a partner, and then I sold to holding group, and I started working with bigger brands.
Yeah.
So as I sold my first agency, and I had like a good grip of Midwest brands. I was working with Valvoline Oil for the Midwest, Imagine Theaters, a chain like AMC. I was working with Detroit Tigers, Major League Baseball. I was working closely with BAM, Baseball Advanced Media. I was working with North American International Auto Show. It was all earned equity in relationships. Once you do a good job for one brand, they'd introduce you to another brand, and the business just steamrolled. So when I sold that agency, I started working with another agency where we had bigger clients. So I was acquired and rolled into this agency where we then started working with Starbucks, Nike, Google, and it just got bigger and bigger. We went from 40 employees to 250 employees. And then we sold to the world's largest holding group. I think it was like 4 years later. We sold to WPP, which is the largest advertising holding group in the world. They're out of London. And so when you sell to them, then there's an earn-out structure where they put you to work, and then you're working across the world with like literally the world's largest brands. So some of the most interesting campaigns that I worked on at the time were Pumpkin Spice Latte, Frappuccino, Nike Running, Nike Golf, like really cool, interesting brands. And I've got tons of stories, and people love to hear about like how these brands are built and create more success. But I would say what I really learned, to go back to the learning point was data. Like when you get to the Fortune 100 level, it's not about do you have a podcast or not. It's about like how much more information or data do you have on you as a brand and a target persona, and how are you working smarter, not harder, to optimize that data, automate that data, and connect with more people faster. Like it really is a data war. That's why Amazon has 872 data points on the average consumer. They know more about the average consumer than you know about yourself typically. And so it was really, so if you go through my whole history again, it's creative and then a little bit of strategy and data. And the truth is every entrepreneur needs to flip that. You got to have data to inform the strategy. Otherwise, the strategy is just an idea that you came up with. If you don't do the research to get information to feed the strategy, then you're just coming up with ideas, which sometimes is okay. I'm not saying it doesn't work, because your ideas are coming from other people, or you're watching Austin on a podcast. You go, I need a podcast. Austin's a successful entrepreneur. How do I get a podcast, right? But feed the data. Why did he start it? How much did he invest? Dude, this is not cheap. How much did he invest into this? Take the data to inform, do I really need a podcast to make my first million?
No.
Right? That's the question. And everybody's just go straight to creative. And then the strategy feeds the creative.
Yeah.
So I think that would be my first tip to any entrepreneur. And even if you're currently an entrepreneur, you're thinking about it, really focus on the information that feeds the strategy, then come up with the creative execution.
Why do you think most people do it the other way around, though?
They don't know any different. They're not taught any different. And it's a shiny object, right? It's like, oh, I put my kids on TV commercials. They're so cute. Like, it's like the fun part.
Yeah.
Everybody loves the fun part. You know, everyone thinks I have something to say. Turn on the mic. I'm going to talk to people. And then they get on and they get 2 downloads. Their mom comments, great job, honey. And they're like, shoot, this didn't work. You know, and it's like, because you weren't data focused. You weren't strategic.
Yeah.
You were just creative. And it doesn't mean you're not creative. It just means you don't know what you don't know, which is why mentorship is so important. You know, because if you want to fast track, you got to learn from somebody like yourself or somebody like me who's done this for 20, 25 years, who spent the money, who had the failure, who can tell you, don't do this instead.
Yeah.
I don't think enough people ask questions. You know, one of our clients, somebody I've worked with really closely, is Glenn Sanford, CEO of Success Magazine and obviously EXP Holding Group.
Yep.
And Glenn, when he was with me, he was in our building. He came to see me in our building. We toured him around, the one we were in when we were working with him. He treated me like I knew more. He's a billionaire.
Yeah.
He treated me like I knew more than he did. And that was mentorship to me, to go, like right now, I should be asking Austin questions because he pays more in rent than I do. I'm paying $5,000 a month in rent. You're paying millions in rent. 3 offices around Arizona.
Yeah, but you've sold a company and I haven't. So it could go.
That's what I'm saying.
You could stack up the accolades on each side.
100%.
Right? There's a bunch of stuff you've done that I haven't, you know.
Yeah, but it's get around people who've done things and learn from them before you just go execute. People are just so fast to do the easy, fun, shiny object thing. You know?
Yeah. I think that the creative should just come way after everything else.
Yeah.
You know, like, and even looking back, I actually, not regret, right? But like, I think that I jumped into creative right out of the gate, and I wouldn't, if I were to do it all over again, I wouldn't do that. Yeah. I would build the company, any company, and get it off the ground, get profitable, get rocking and rolling, right? And then maybe if I have the right personality and everything, maybe I would jump into social media and all of that.
What's the number one thing you think drives the most impact on revenue for a business that's just starting? What's like the number one thing you believe, if you could do it differently, where would you have put most of your attention?
Over 90% of the people that listen to the show have not yet subscribed or followed the show. And if you subscribe or follow the show, it greatly helps me go continue to get bigger and bigger names on the podcast for you to listen to. It would mean the world to me if you would take just a quick minute, subscribe on YouTube, or follow the show on any platform that you're listening on, and I will make it my mission to go out there and to get bigger and bigger names for you to enjoy. Again, it is really the only thing that I will ever ask from you, so it would mean the world to me. Now let's just go ahead and get right into it. Systems, processes, hiring, automations like you talked about, right? Getting in front of the customer.
The infrastructure.
Yeah, the infrastructure of the actual thing, right? The beast that you're trying to build. I think that people, like you said it best, right? They do all of this and then...
It's a facade.
It's a total facade. They don't even have a business. Like, it's like... They just wake up every morning and wing it. They go to the local coffee shop and they download Slack or they get on, you know what I mean? Like they've got Trello or Asana and they're trying to like schedule their content and they think that they had a productive day, right? And it's like, dude, you didn't do anything. You don't have anything to do. Like you haven't built anything.
I always give this advice. And this is, you've just started or you're doing $1 million and you want to go to 5 million.
Yeah.
It is this simple to me. If you try, because people always try to ask me complex marketing questions. And I always say, let's dumb this down. How many people have you met today that you didn't know yesterday? That's it. Yeah. How many people did you meet today that you didn't know yesterday? And there's ways to do that. You want to knock on doors? You can meet people today that you did not know yesterday. And it's effective. Do you want to work smarter or harder? And that's why I say you take your moneymaker and start creating that content, but be connecting with new people. Social's too passive. People just create and they externalize like, here's me and what I'm about and why I'm important. What you need to be doing is engaging with new people and creating relationships in social. Social is not about you. Social is not about who you are and what you do and why people would be interested. Literally, you could post no content and just go engage with people and make new connections. I think too many new entrepreneurs are just focused on themselves and not on making real connections with people.
Yeah.
So I would say, like, if you're a new entrepreneur, focus in on how do I meet new people? What can I do today? And maybe it is content. Maybe you can create content that's going to connect you with new people. But stay focused on how do I meet new people? So the power base, right? The average person has minimum 800 contacts. Do you know how many contacts you have in your phone?
Way more than 800.
We should look. Real estate individuals always have more than 800. They say, so here's how you do it. I'm going to teach you. If you have an iPhone, go to contacts. And then once you're in contacts, scroll all the way to the bottom like this, all the way to the bottom. Oh, I'm still going. I'm at 897 contacts.
3,031.
Yeah, real estate. See? 3,031. So there's your CRM. If you're a new business, you already know people. They already trust you. Just hit the phones, literally. Instead of going on Instagram, just talk to people. Have conversations.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And then to piggyback off of that too, and then we'll dive into a little bit of marketing and all sorts of different stuff. But how many people do you think become entrepreneurs that should have never even became an entrepreneur to begin with? Like, let's take a step back.
Sure.
Like how many people do you see where entrepreneurship's the new sexy thing, right?
Yeah.
And people do it, and they should have never done it. It's like, dude, you went down the wrong thing entirely. How many people?
It's a good question. 2 reasons people become entrepreneurs. They have a skill set that they believe they can create more wealth or money on their own without anybody else. So they don't want to work for someone else. Or number 2, they just don't like to be told what to do. They don't even have a skill. They're literally like, no one is my boss. I want to be my own boss. Those are usually the 2 biggest reasons somebody says, I want to be an entrepreneur. I have a skill that I believe can make me wealth without someone else, or I just don't like to be told what to do. I would say the area where I see the weakest entrepreneurs, I'm not trying to offend anyone in this room right now, but the creative people.
Yeah.
The creative people, because it's so emotional. Creative people drive on emotion. They're talented, and it's very rare. In fact, this room's probably filled with good creative people who also have that other side, because that's the only type of people I hire, are people that understand both sides of business. Most creatives are emotionally driven. Business is not emotional. You cannot have emotion in business. It is a math equation. I had a mentor once that told me the only emotion in business is the emotion of celebration of results. That's it. Celebration of results is the only emotion. Otherwise, the problem is there's too many feelings. And so I see designers who want to start design agencies, videographers who start production companies, and I interview them all the time. And they're like, they want to hold on to that business, and I just know they're making no money.
Yeah.
Because they don't understand process, operations, analytics, sales. Creative people are horrible at sales.
Horrible.
Because they're stabilizers. 70% of the country is stabilizers. I mean, if you study like the driver analyzer, the DISC assessments, personality traits, creatives are stabilized. They're emotionally driven. They're stabilized, which means it's hard for them to ask for money. They're just not natural born salespeople.
Yeah.
Some of the most amazing human beings in the world, and you need them, but they just over-index with should not be entrepreneurs unless they're willing to humble themselves, join an organization where your talents can take you somewhere, and do two things. One, build the organization with someone who has what you don't have. So build yourself into the organization. Or two, learn and then leave and go build your business once you've studied how to build a business. But they all just want free, it's creatives by nature, freedom, blah.
Bali.
Yeah, brah, I'm just going to make cinematography, sell it to Netflix in a year, brah. It's just like, how many clients do you have? I was like, this coffee shop, brah.
Yep.
It's
exactly
like,
right. Yeah.
It's not going to work.
How are you paying your rent?
Yeah.
How you pay the bills.
Yeah.
Right?
But other than that, I mean, I like to encourage anyone who wants to build their own wealth and freedom. I just say, think of this though. I think too many times people get caught up in like, I'm the one, like I'm going to do it. I don't need anybody. Like, dude, I'm trying to think of how can I partner with, like you and I should be doing something together.
Sure.
Like you got to get in the mindset of doing things with other people. Here was me as an entrepreneur running my first agency. And then I joined someone else who was doing it and I became a partner where like you, I wasn't 100%, right? Like I like fragmented ownership and things. And I did that, and it just catapults.
Yeah.
You just can't do it on your own. Who can you do it with? That's the question.
They say you can go fast alone and you can go far with people, right?
That's right.
Yeah. And I couldn't agree more with that. I think that I actually I don't like talk crap, but I definitely have talked about these solopreneurs calling themselves entrepreneurs.
Yep.
And I'm like, no. You trade stocks in Bali.
Yeah.
Like you're a solopreneur.
Right.
Or you trade Forex, or you sit on your couch and whatever. You're not an entrepreneur,
Until you
right?
lead
like
people,
in my opinion.
Yeah, if you're not leading people, you're not an entrepreneur.
You're not. I think you have to hire people and lead people to your point and build systems in order to classify as an entrepreneur.
You have to own IP.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
And I couldn't agree with you more. I think partnering with the right people, dude, I'd love to figure out a way to do stuff together.
There's
I'm surprised
something.
it took this long.
There's something in there. Yeah.
So then talk to me. Let's go back to the marketing thing then for a minute. And I'm curious, in going and working with some people like, Nike, Starbucks. I mean, we're talking about Serhant, right?
Yeah.
Grant Cardone. We're all these different either big companies or big people that own big companies. What are some of the things that you learned? Like, what is the difference, I guess, to be more specific, between you talk about a minute ago about the Fortune 100 company, right? When you compare a Fortune, let's just say 100 or even 500 company to a Fortune 5,000 company.
Sure.
Is data the only difference?
No.
Or are there other differences that you see?
It's a great question. So something I studied for 6 months with a $2 million budget was the core persona or target of a pumpkin spice latte. And that's R&D. Most businesses don't have $2 million in 6 months to research the core avatar persona target of who they're talking to. But we had to do it because that space was so over-indexed with pumpkin spice flavor. And so Starbucks was the original pumpkin spice coffee beverage. Dunkin' Donuts, McDonald's, Yankee Candle, Durex Condom, like they all came out with their own pumpkin spice version. And so Starbucks was like, we need to hone back in on like, who's going to create the biggest impact on revenue and take up the most market share. And it's not advertising to the masses because the masses aren't avid pumpkin spice drinkers. It's a niche, just like everyone's avatar should be. It's a niche, right? Real estate agents aren't selling, buying, and investing. You're mitigating peace in a divorce. You're helping an empty nester move on to the new cycle of their life. You're helping a luxury buyer feel like they have a bespoke property with a real story. It's niche, 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 niche. Instead, I can tell immediately when somebody doesn't have a strategy because they're just wide net. They're just advertising to everyone. Well, this is the difference. A Fortune 100 brand spends, think about it, before fall hits, January, before fall hits, we're studying, we're in third-party data, internal data, loyalty data. We're studying swarm groups. We're getting large amounts of surveys together for coffee lovers, coffee haters, everything from, senior citizens and retired people to Gen Z. And we're asking questions and learning behaviors. And ultimately what we found was there was a persona named Heather, and Heather was excited because the temperature dropped just below 70 degrees, which means she gets to put on her UGG boots. But the UGG boots, she didn't get to wear the year before. She got them on layaway because she still has college debt. And we knew she had college debt and that she was frugal. She didn't have a lot of disposable income. But what income she did have, she wanted to be an influence in her micro group. So listen to that carefully. She didn't want to be an influencer. She wanted to be an influence in her small group of friends. Millennials wanted to be influencers. What we found is Gen Zs really wanted to influence just in their little group. That's why they liked Snap more than Instagram, because they were like, hey, my 10 friends, I want to be the coolest person in my 10 friends. And so what we learned from Heather is that out of everything, it wasn't even the flavor or the smell or the scent or the taste of the drink that she liked. It was the association of trend that she liked. And she liked seasonality. She enjoyed the fact that she wore fashion and warm, cozy boots and that it was an accessory more than anything. But at the end of the day, the behavior that we really studied, that we learned the most, 6 months and $2 million, it came down to one KPI that drove a 21% increase in sales that year. And it was that she wanted to be on the good side of FOMO, not on the other side. So how could we get her on the front side of fear of missing out and be the trendsetter in her group? Well, the way we did that was segmented, dark posted, and hyper-focused on Heather to say, Heather, this drink that you love is not available to the public for 30 days, but we're going to give you private access to have your first sip of the season and document the process with this special code that nobody else has. You won't even see a chalkboard with cute little pumpkins in the store. It literally is hidden in the back. And if you want to be the first to access it, now's your chance. We drove a 21% increase in sales before the beverage launched to the public. 21% increase from the overall stats from the year before because we hyper-focused. So Fortune 100 companies are hyper-focused on data that informs strategy and strategy that develops the creative. Back to the point that I learned the hard way. Had I just said, let's post pumpkins on Instagram, we wouldn't have made an, it'd be beautiful. Sure, we have big crews, cost, $20,000, $30,000 per day for a shoot for Starbucks. You've got big sets, craft services, you've got stylists, you've got people that are doing ice with foam, and every 30 seconds you have to wipe it and do it again. It's a very integral process. But the data has to inform that strategy, and the strategy has to inform that creative, which was not even an aspirational creative. It was a technical creative, which was,
hey, really quick, I'm sure you already know, but I've done over 2,500 wholesale deals in my career, and me and my team consistently do anywhere from 1 to 2 wholesale deals a day. If you're looking to get better at wholesaling, or maybe you're brand new, you've never wholesaled a deal, I would actually love to coach you. I would love to mentor you, and I would love for you to be a part of our education program. All you have to do is go to www.flippinsimple.com, or you can find a link in the description down below and book a strategy session with my team to see if you would be a good fit for our coaching program. Again, this is our exact strategy and formula of how we are actually able to go out every single day and do anywhere from 1 to 2 wholesale deals a day. Nobody's talking about what we're doing, and I really look forward to coaching you and mentoring you. So again, go to www.flippinsimple.com. Now let's just go ahead and get back to the show.
put her on a scavenger hunt to be the first to get this beverage before anyone else, because that's the behavior we know she likes more than anything.
Sure.
Which then, when she starts posting this with her fingerless mitten gloves, going, sip of the season, she did the advertising for us. It's called earned equity.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't even have to advertise as much as we did the year before because she did it for us.
Yeah.
She documented the process and told everybody it existed.
It's awesome.
So yeah, that's like Fortune 100. Other people are just like, okay, so how often should I be posting? It's like
Literally.
It's like literally.
Yeah,
like small
yeah.
businesses are like asking me questions like,
Yep.
so should I be on Facebook or TikTok?
Yeah.
I'm just like, all of them.
Right.
But then study your strategy
Yeah.
and get really intentional about your message.
They're trying to be all things to everyone.
Yes.
Right. Everywhere, all
Yeah.
the time. Omni.
Yes.
Which is, in the grand scheme of things, the wrong way to go about it, right? Depending on your goal, like you're talking about, because again, the niches make the money.
Funny story, if you really want to hear. 3 years as a chief marketing officer for Grant Cardone's business management company called Cardone Ventures.
Yep.
So basically, it's like a Deloitte, but he wanted to do this for smaller businesses that can't afford Deloitte. Deloitte, if Starbucks would hire Deloitte.
Yeah.
Deloitte's a consultancy business management company. They come into Starbucks and they say, okay, Starbucks, for $10 million, we're going to study the data. And for another $10 million, we're going to give you a report that says how to get to a $5 billion company versus a $1 billion company. Like that's what Deloitte does.
Yep.
Well, you got plumbers, you've got pressure washers, you've got landscapers that want to know how they can go from 1 million to 10, right? And they can't afford 5 million to hire Deloitte. So Cardone created Cardone Ventures with his business partner, Brandon Dawson. I was the chief marketing officer. And we built this company from 0 employees in 3 years to 62 million and 88 employees. We did it very quickly. But I would run workshops where I would teach marketing. And so you use a word that's very familiar. Grant says omnipresence. Got to be everywhere at all times. And, Grant would always say, I don't care who you worked for. I would tell him, dude, this is the strategy. I worked for Starbucks, Nike, Google. And his answer to me was, so do you have a G550 yet? And I would say, no, I do not have a G550. He goes, have you seen mine?
Yeah.
He's like, you going to tell me how to do it?
Yep.
I would say, okay. I've worked for massive corporations. I've sold companies before. But, ultimately, he is a marketer. He is a guerrilla marketer.
He is.
He is not, like, he hears me talk strategy and he's like, dude, just like, go everywhere.
Yeah.
Just get on the phone and just
For sure.
talk to people.
Go live while you're on stage.
Yeah, just go live.
Yeah.
So he talks about omnipresent, be everywhere all the time, right? As a small business owner, I was in a workshop. I didn't know he was there. He was in the back of the room waiting for me to finish, and he was going to go up after me. And I had a guy in the back of the room, and he goes, Bug, I have a question. My persona, my target, is a 55-year-old GC. Am I on TikTok? And this was 4 years ago, when TikTok was still Musical.ly even.
Yep.
They were moving it, and it was still kids dancing. And I said, okay, omnipresence, I get it. Like the answer is you go everywhere, right? We don't want to mess this up for Grant. God forbid you say you don't do what Grant tells you to do. But I was like, dude, time and money.
Yep.
If you can't batch the content you're already doing intentionally and strategically on Instagram for TikTok, an extra 5 seconds doesn't bother me if you got to go to TikTok and publish it. But I said, I'm going to tell you this. If you don't have the time, I said, your 55-year-old GC is not on TikTok.
Yeah.
I know he's not. Today he might be. 3 years ago, he was not on TikTok.
No.
At all. He didn't even know the name of the app, right?
No.
And Grant stood up in the back of the room and he goes, yeah, but his son is. And I said, oh, hey, G. I was like, yes, his son is. And he goes, and if his son knows you, he's going to know you. He always had an answer.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. That's not wrong.
Yeah.
I said, go ahead, go dance on TikTok.
Sure.
Get his son to like you. And he's not wrong. The challenge is, I know the average entrepreneur isn't Grant Cardone.
No, they're not.
And they ain't gonna attract anybody on TikTok. You gotta know who you are, know your platform, know your target, and say, is this the right space for us to make the connection and join a conversation they're already having?
Sure.
So anyway, I do say omnipresence. I do believe in his theory. But for a small entrepreneur, I'm just like, man, just go niche, go practice hard where you're supposed to be, and just join those conversations.
I couldn't agree more. I love what you're talking about because I think that you have to start there, right? Like not everybody, you're not going to be Grant overnight. You might not ever be Grant, like your
Nobody's
average
gonna
person,
be
right?
Grant,
Nobody.
no.
I mean, a handful of people in the world will go do what, like I want to be like Grant one
Yeah,
day, and I'm
yeah.
going to get a G6, I'm going to get a G700
Yeah.
or G750 by that time.
Falcon
They haven't made a
10X.
750 yet, but
Yeah,
they'll
yeah.
make a 750 by the time I'm
For
ready
sure.
to buy it, you know?
Yeah, twice
And,
around the
yeah.
world.
Yeah, but you know, like how many people are going to do that, right? And even for me, right? Like I've grinded for 12 years, every day, nonstop, 7 days a week, all the time.
Yeah.
You know, and it'll take me another probably 20
Yeah.
of doing exactly what I've done for the last 12
Yeah.
for another 20
You're on your
to
way,
even
man.
have a shot, right? But the point is that, and I'm still pretty niche to some degree. I go a little broad. Okay, so then let's talk about like guys like Serhant or Gary V or like Grant. You know, I know you. Do you think that? I want to ask a question like this. So, do you think that guys like that you have these big influencers,
Call them
right?
web celebs.
Yeah, you know, how is what they're doing different than what like big companies are doing, where you don't really have a face per se?
Good
Like,
question.
you see what I'm saying?
I know exactly what you're
What's the
talking about.
purpose? Like,
They're
why?
personal brands.
Yeah, but like, take a guy like Serhant, for
Yeah.
example, or Gary V, right? Is the reason that they do what they do just to drive the growth of all the companies that they own a piece of? Or why do they do what they do?
So they all started as personal brands, period. None of them had companies. Gary worked at a wine shop. Ryan was a starving model,
Yeah.
hand model, had no money, got on a TV show, was like, I'll do anything. He didn't set out to build the world's largest brokerage, right? Grant was just, he was just trying to stay out of jail. He was knocking on dealership doors saying, hey, I can teach your guys to sell, because he learned how to sell cars better than anybody else. And in that process, he created content that people found interesting on YouTube back when he was in California. And he hired his first employee. He was hired Jared, and those guys created a YouTube channel. People started watching, said, this guy's different, he's unique. So they all built personal brands. You can't sell a personal brand. Elon Musk can't sell an Elon Musk company. He built PayPal. He can't sell Elon Musk. He can sell SpaceX, Tesla, right? But so these guys are all smart. So chicken and the egg. These guys started with the egg. Entrepreneurs start with the chicken. I'll build the business and become famous. They became famous and built the business. It's called flow. There's 3 cycles to any business: flow, attention and awareness; conversion, your ability to then exchange the value for something monetary; and then retention. The service or product is so good, people come back or tell other people about it, which drives more flow back into the cycle. So these guys created massive attention and awareness, and a lot of influencers do, but they don't know the second part of the cycle. These guys are masters at all 3. Flow, attention, and awareness. They know how to convert it into business and create revenue, and they know how to retain it and drop it back into flow. And that's why Grant will do $400-something million in profit and has a G550, is because he understands, 1, how to get attention and awareness, 2, how to leverage it into business. Now, what they're all doing, and I know this because I've worked with them, and they're smart, they have to build businesses outside of their brand. If they get hit by a bus, the whole business collapses, because it's built on their personality and their names, their namesake, their content creation, their in-person events, their training choruses. Grant has more training videos than any other sales training program I've ever seen. Calls it Cardone University. It's a great sales program, by the way. And I know he worked back in the day with Brad Lee, who built Lightspeed, and that's how this whole thing sort of emerged. And Brad will tell you, I've talked to Brad many times, G wouldn't be nothing without me.
Yeah.
You know,
I've heard their beef. I've heard their beef.
Yeah. They love that.
Yeah.
Those guys. They're
I've
friends.
been following them forever.
They're friends, but also maybe not
yeah,
friends.
they got a little bit of beef.
They
for
got
sure.
some beef for
Yeah.
sure. But Brad will tell you, I taught him everything.
Yeah,
In
well,
fact,
he's smoking a cigar.
He's got one
You know.
clip. He'll show you next time you see him. I love you, Brad. He'll listen to this. It's this. Have you heard it before?
No, I've never
He's got a
heard it,
G clip.
but I can picture it.
He'll hit play, and it's Grant on a call
Yeah.
going, "Dude, thank you, man. I wouldn't be nothing without you."
Right,
He's like,
right.
See,
Yeah,
that's it.
He's got that thing saved.
But the point is this: Grant's evolving into real. He got out of you don't hear him talk about sales training as much as he used to. He moved into real estate. Well, first of all, he got educated from other. He had proximity to billionaires, and he realized real estate was the game. He learned how to crack the code, and he moved into multifamily real estate, crowdfunded invest. He is the largest crowdfunded real estate investor in the world.
Yeah, yeah. 100%.
I don't know what he's at, 18 billion something. I don't know.
Stupid number. I don't know.
Yeah,
Couldn't tell you.
Wild.
Yeah.
But that's his legacy play. Cardone Capital. Yes, his name's still in it, but I believe he's setting up Cardone Capital as a legacy play for the family. And if he gets hit by a bus, Cardone Capital survives.
For sure.
Grant Cardone's sales training dies the minute he dies.
Yep.
Ain't nobody going to train with a guy that passed away. It's like, some of the great and late mentors, it's just, it becomes inspirational
It's
to some
hard,
degree.
yeah.
But nobody wants to buy a program
No.
of somebody who passed away. So like, I think his real estate game's a great play. Serhant, very actively building and promoting businesses without his name. But he does have his brokerage, which is his play now. And he obviously broke out from Nest Seekers and started creating, Serhant, and then he's all along the East Coast. He's got interest. I can tell you because I've seen the inquiries. He's got interest all over the world to open up a Serhant brokerage. He's so strategic. He's so specific and intentional about how he opens, what he opens. And so I know that this is his long-term gameplay of how he's going to do it. And what I like about Serhant, and the difference is because I've worked in both organizations, Grant's very polarizing. Nobody hates Serhant.
Yeah.
I've never met it. Grant, you either love or hate. There's no one in the middle. Ryan is so bespoke and beloved by everybody. You've never heard a hater on. I mean, sure, Serhant says he has haters, but I don't meet him. I don't know. I've never heard him. I've been in the weeds.
Yeah.
I don't see it. And so he's very protective, I think, of what that brand is and what it means. And so it's a different level of polish for him. But doing the same thing. Gary, VaynerMedia, he's building media agencies. I love to talk about Gary's strategy in life from a content play. So now we're talking about current day, what's Gary's strategy? Because it started with wine videos on YouTube. And so like, what is it today? Freaking Pokemon cards and baseball cards and like
what is Gary's move?
This is his move. You ready?
Yeah, because I don't even know.
His target is 0.005% of the internet. CEO of Pepsi, Super Bowl ads, VaynerMedia, right? It's like he has a very niche executive group. And yeah, for the most part, they all vaguely know who he is, right? And I remember I told Gary this story in October in Dallas. Gary and I spoke on a stage together at Success Unleashed. This was a Brian McCauley event, which was Fairway Mortgage at the time, and we were putting this event together, and we brought Gary in, and I said, Gary, I was with the world's largest holding group, WPP. We were with Starbucks. When you're in an organization as an agency, there's 1,000 departments. I worked on Via, which is the grocery store packet. I worked on Frappuccino, Tiavana tea. Like there's just that. Like Nestle has. People don't realize California Pizza Kitchen frozen in the grocery store is Nestle. Buitoni pasta, Nestle. Like Nestle owns like 90% of the grocery store. People don't even realize it.
Yeah.
So we get in with Starbucks and they're like, you have to pitch these other brands. Like, hey, they did really good for pumpkin spice. You guys should talk to this department. So it was Starbucks energy drinks, CPG, in the grocery store, cans of energy drinks. Cool, let's pitch them, right? And it costs time and money. It could be like $200,000 to pitch a new client. The time, flying your team to headquarters, hotels, dinners at night, employees, those resources they would be working on a current client when they're working on the brand side costs money. So we're like, let's do it. We're going to pitch Starbucks Energy. We're going to go for it. First campaign ever, VaynerMedia, Gary V, YouTube star, says, I'm going to build an agency.
Yeah.
Okay, bro. VaynerMedia. We get to see who's in the pitch. There's like 5 agencies. We're like, VaynerMedia, the guy, like with the wine guy, is pitching a Starbucks Energy.
Yeah.
We were like, okay, bro, wins the pitch.
Wow.
Wins the pitch. Won Starbucks Energy. I think it was one of his first campaigns ever that he won.
Insane.
But I told him about that story, and he was like, yeah, you know why, man? Because like I was living the fucking life, man. Yeah. He's like, cause like you guys are all like hired to go do this work, and you have experience because you've done work with other brands. But he's like, none of you guys had YouTube channels that knew what the hell you were doing. Like I was living the life. That was why people hired me. So people know who he is, but his niche is so tiny. So what he does is back to the 3 cycles of business, if you guys remember: flow, conversion, retention. Flow, attention, and awareness. If he's like, set up this camera right here and give me this little SM7B, I'm going to talk right now to the 0.005.
Yep.
He ain't getting any likes. He's not getting any shares. Very little comments. And he's not going to get, there's just no executive. And then like the Pokemon guys and the crypto guys, they're just like, okay, swipe,
Yeah.
Swipe. So he finds the things that make him top of mind awareness. The word is relevant, right? Like he's so relevant every year, and he chases ahead of schedule what's relevant next. And that is a layer of credibility. So the 0.0005 CEO of Pepsi goes, yeah, here's a $500,000 Super Bowl ad. Here's a $2 million Super Bowl ad. Go for it, Gary.
Yeah.
Because he's so relevant. He's not targeting, I call it a peripheral target. He's not targeting the target. He's targeting attention. Attention is the commodity, right? That's what he says.
Yeah.
Right? So like he's so smart with that idea. Now that is the only way somebody will go, Buck, you just said go niche. That's the only way broad works. But my question is, are you as fucking interesting as Gary fucking V?
Yeah.
No. So stop. Don't try. He's so you are not Gary V. You are not Grant Cardone. You can't be them. There's two things. The way you're born and what I can teach you.
Yep.
I can teach you a lot. We can do data. We can do strategy. We can do creative. I can teach you all kinds of techniques and tips and tricks. I can't make you interesting. I can't. You're born with it.
Yeah. You either have it or you don't.
Yeah, and that's where, but that doesn't, I also don't want to take away from any entrepreneur that says, okay, well, I guess I don't have a personality. You still have to be the ambassador of your brand. You have to get out of your comfort zone. I guarantee you this podcast with me and you is much more comfortable than the first podcast you did, right?
1,000,000%.
Billion
Yeah,
percent.
yeah,
Is riding a bike.
Yeah, for sure.
You've done it so many times. Okay. Had he never done it, he could say, I suck at podcasts. Did you feel like your first podcast was like, I don't know.
I still feel like they suck.
You do? Yeah. Well, that's good. You have self-awareness.
Yeah,
But
I mean, I'm not, and I think every great entrepreneur, right? I'm not ranking myself with other great entrepreneurs, but I think that you have to a degree, you have to always be extremely hard on yourself. I mean, like you said something about 20 minutes ago or so that the only emotion you can have is to celebrate the victory.
that's it.
And I would even say, I would take it a step further and say celebrate it, but celebrate it for a very short period of time.
Very short.
You know,
Get back to work.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like celebrate it, and then it's like, oh shit, like I haven't done anything.
Yeah.
Like I'm a nobody. I haven't done anything. Because for me,
Back to zero. Yeah.
for me, that's how I keep going. Right. Like at the moment that I'm like I've done some shit, then it's over.
You get
It's
comfortable.
game over from
Yeah.
there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like every day I walk in, it's like I'm a nobody. I've done nothing.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm nervous. I over prepare for everything still.
It's Andy Elliott.
You know, 100%.
He comes in broke every day.
Every day.
He says
you know?
he spends all his money.
Yeah.
That's scary.
A lot
That's
of people
real.
say that.
That's
Yeah.
real.
Well, Grant says that to a degree.
He says cash is trash.
He's like,
Get
every
rid of
year
it.
I go broke, you know. Now his broke's 100 mil probably or whatever it is. So I think broke is different for everybody, right?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
what's your definition of broke? I
Yeah.
mean, for Grant, obviously you've got to have at least probably 20, 30, 40 million liquid just to, you know, you've got to
Some
run the
things.
plane and pay the pilots and
Yeah. It's all
property
accounted for, though.
for
I mean, I
sure.
think he tries to blow it all. I mean, that's why he got his plane. You've
Yeah.
seen his podcast.
Oh, yeah.
Where he's talking to, I forget who he's talking to, but
in December.
yeah, and he's
taxes,
like,
yeah.
called the guy up,
Sent him $1 million.
wired him the money.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a famous
I
clip.
do love Grant, dude. I'm not going to lie. Like,
If you're currently wholesaling real estate and you aren't using a CRM, then you're doing it wrong and you're leaving a ton of money on the table. We are one of the largest wholesalers in the nation, and by far the #1 tool that we use every single day is a phenomenal CRM, right? And a CRM is obviously a customer relationship management tool that will keep track of all of your leads. It'll follow up with people on your behalf. Even if you have a 9 to 5, right? A good CRM will be working for you while you're working at your job. So when you come home, you have a bunch of people to talk to buy their property, okay? Now, obviously, we have a CRM. It is called SimpleSend, and all you have to do is go to www.simplesend.com to check it out. It is by far my favorite CRM. We built it out over the years, and it will literally do everything you need it to do to become a phenomenal wholesaler. So go to www.simplesend, check it out, and I'm telling you, you will not regret it.
I love the guy because of his polarity, you know?
Yes.
And I've been following him. I mean, dude, I read the 10X rule and sell or be sold probably in 2014 or 20. I mean, like it was a long time ago. I've been
You have to
following the guy.
reread it, man.
Yeah.
It's still relevant.
Yeah.
Obsessed or Be Average is a good one too.
I haven't read that one.
It has marketing tips. People always think it's just about like mindset, be obsessed, don't be average. There's actually like marketing tips inside Be Obsessed or Be Average. Listen to the Audible. He goes off script.
Yeah.
And if you like Grant, it's hilarious when he goes off script. So listen to the Audible of Be Obsessed or Be Average. People always ask me, you spent 3 years in his organization. I flew around the country, very intimate, ate dinner at his house, like had lots of time and exposure around him. They always say, is he who he is? The answer is 100% unequivocally. The same guy you see on camera is the same guy off. He just maybe gets more tired after big events and things like that. But he says the same things. He lives the life he says he lives. The one thing that I love that Grant always says, that which is true, is you can say whatever you want about me, but there's not one person in the world that says I'm a bad dad. And his kids absolutely are some of the most amazing children. And he is the best. The kids, like when I went to dinner, the kids bring out the plates and they serve the adults. I'm like, what? My kid's over there in the corner making fart noises. I'm just like, dude, I'm doing it wrong, you know? But people always say, what's the biggest thing you learn? Like, come on, man, you learn new sales techniques. You learn a funnel. Like, give me the funnel trick, you know? And here's the truth. Grant in 3 years taught me accountability. That's his thing. And if you read the 10X rule, you know that if it happened and it's bad, it's your fault. Everything that happens is your fault. There's a quote in the book that says, if you were rear-ended by a car, it's your fault, right? People love to find, well, if you're hit from behind, then it's not you. Why were you there at that time? You should have been somewhere else.
Why didn't you look in your rearview mirror?
Yeah, exactly.
Should have seen him coming.
Like once you unlock your brain for accountability in a business and in a company setting, it's like, wow. Like, it's unbelievable how, if you can instill a culture of accountability, when things go wrong, how people band together and create momentum to solve challenges and problems better. And
So cool.
That's really probably the biggest thing I ever learned from
Dude,
it.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, phenomenal. So I want to ask you a question. So we were talking about Pace a little bit before the show,
Pace
right?
Morby, yeah.
Pace Morby, great guy.
I was just on a live last week with him.
Cool. Great, phenomenal human being. I'm going to quote something that I've heard him say.
Let's hear it.
In a room, he said, and then I'm going to ask you a question.
Okay.
So he said to a room, I remember him saying, everybody should have a personal brand, and everybody does have a personal brand. And if you're sitting in the room right now and you aren't making content and you aren't making social content for social media, then your personal brand, he's like, what I know you for is doing nothing.
Right.
He's like, your personal brand is, in fact, the fact that you don't do anything on the internet.
Yeah.
And that you're not putting yourself out there. He's like, that is how I know you, right? Like,
Yes.
AKA, that is your personal brand.
Yes.
But like we talked about a little while ago, I believe we live in a world where everybody's got an opinion, right? And most of everything contradicts each other if you just pay attention long enough. But I think that we can find people that we resonate with and treat everything like a buffet table, take what we like, leave what we don't like, right? So then, should everybody have a personal brand? Like, is it in your opinion, after working for all these massive names and people, and like if there was 1 million people watching you right now, should everybody have a personal brand?
1,000,000%. Pace is 1,000% on the mark. There's nothing that has more equity in your life than your personal brand. There's no question. In marketing, what he's talking about, perception is reality. If you're not online, the perception is you're not active. Everyone, I'm going to blow your mind, has a personal brand. My question is, who's in charge of it? You already have one. So Pace is right. You're not online. You don't exist. Grant says if they don't know you, they can't do business. They can't flow you, is what he says. They can't do business with you. It isn't best. It's best known. People say, Buck, I've never been on Instagram, and I do $1.2 million a year in retention referral clients. You're telling me I need to be on Instagram? I said, wow, how sad.
Yeah.
1.2. You know, everyone thinks like I don't need, like you're so comfortable. You're so, yeah. Can you create success without leveraging online digital presence, your personal brand, which is really, yes, there's public relations of personal brand. You could hit events and the community kind of knows you, but like online, 99% of the traffic on the internet is video. Personal brand, online storytelling is how you connect faster with more people. So 2 things that I think I have to dissect for people is, number one, you could be doing more if you could connect with more people. So speed to market. How fast can you meet the next right person? Now notice what I said, the next right person, not the next client. Austin can't grow if he doesn't find more innovative, amazing talent. He doesn't need new clients, he needs new talent. You can't grow if you don't have the right infrastructure, technology, or automation in your system. You could research it, or you could find somebody to partner with who already built it, save you 3 years, and speed up the process to $1 billion. But he can't do that if he didn't have a podcast where somebody one day watched it and said, I need to call that guy because I can help him with that, right? So everyone's so transactional with their personal brand. Buck, my revenue's great. I don't need a personal brand.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you don't need new talent. You don't need new technology. You don't need, okay, just keep doing your 1.2 or whatever you think is success in your life. Like, it's just, it personally pains me when people are so comfortable that they're just like, I don't need to do all that social internet stuff. You know, like, I'm not saying you need to do it like everyone else, but I'm saying connect with people the way you organically and authentically can connect with people in an online community somewhere that makes sense. Not just to say I do it, not to say, well, I check that box, but with intention and strategy. Let's build the brand together. And that's what our agency does now, Closing Day Agency. We help entrepreneurs, owners, and coaches build online presence to get more authority, more credibility, to connect them with more people, build the community, and essentially close more deals for them. That is all we do. People go, you're a marketing guy. What's your agency do? Personal brand. That's it. That's all we do. We do strategy, concept creation, publishing, and community management. We build it all. We save owners time. That's number one. What do? We save you time. Austin doesn't want to run this podcast. He didn't turn on this camera today, right? We save you time so you can go back to running your business. And number 2, we get better results than you would if you tried it on your own. I guarantee you. Guaranteed. Years of experience and high caliber talent. Guaranteed we're going to do better. Even if it's incrementally better and we save you more time, what's the ROI in that? And so that's where we spend our time and money. But yes, personal brand is an absolute must. Everyone needs to focus in on who you are. And the 2 biggest pieces of advice I could give you. So this is something you can walk away with. I won't sit here and pitch you on working with our agency. Austin's too much of a gentleman to let me do that. But I'm going to give you 2 things you can literally implement right now. Who am I and who are they? If you don't know those 2 things, you're behind the 8 ball. You're called it's called shooting from the hip. You're shooting from you're just trying things and splattering it on the wall to see what sticks. And so really focus in on why you do what you do for your consumer. Truly understand that filter before you create content. Why do you do what you do? And I'll give you a hint. It's not a product or service. Whatever you do for a living is not why you exist for them. Don't be transactional. Number 2, how are you different? Because I guarantee you there are people that do the same thing you do. You know, in Austin, you've done a great job of doing that because clearly you're like number 1, number 2 in the country, right?
Yeah, for the different companies.
Yeah. Which is amazing, which tells me you've set yourself apart from a differentiator, right? And then number 3, what are the attributes you want the consumer to feel whenever there's a touch point, whether they watch your podcast, see you on a live stream, they get served an ad, they get an email, they get a text message notification. What are the emotions that they should feel? Do you know from a brand standpoint the three most important emotions that consumer should feel in any one of those touch points? And if you have a big organization, if I walk through your halls and ask everyone to tell me those 3 emotions, do they all know? How concise is your strategy across your organization? Because if it's fragmented, this causes confusion in your marketplace and your go-to-market strategies. So the number 1 way you get a consumer to trust you is consistency. Consistency when they get served the ad. They click it, they go to the landing page, consistent. They get an email afterwards, consistent. They get a call from a representation, consistent. The way they spoke, the way they made them feel, the 3 emotions, the why we serve you, the how we're different. Consistent across every marketing aspect of the business. So that's the first piece in personal brand is know who you are. And really, if you're like, I know all those things, Buck, but you don't have, like, I'm sure Austin has like a place where he holds this strategy. If you don't have it written, documented, process, SOPs, you have an idea. You don't have a strategy. So be intentional about creating that strategy. And then the second thing is back to the Starbucks and pumpkin spice. You don't need 6 months and you don't need $2 million. You have previous clients who have driven massive impact on your finances. Go study trend line. Go study the last 20, 200, however big your company is, sample size. Go study the last most important clients that you've worked with and ask them 30 of the most important questions you could think of. Well, Buck, what questions do I ask them? Number one, what's the most important question that drives the most impact on the business? And put them in sequential priority. And ask them those questions. Now, let's all get in a room. Let's combine. Now, we used to have to, this is old school. We want to hear how old I am?
Yeah,
we used to take all those sentences and throw them on whiteboards, and we'd study the trend line of like, all right, well, if they all said this, then this must be true about our brand, right? Now, here's what you get to do. Copy them and paste them into ChatGPT, because GPT is a 6-figure marketer in your organization. Put your marketer to work and say, tell me what all these things have in common and how should that reflect our content, the cadence, and how often we create based on the needs and challenges of our clients, and how can we magnetize and draw new clients based on those things. Very technical. So that's your next step. If you're doing takeaways when you watch this, go interview your clients, paste all the answers in GPT, tell them to find the trend line, what they all have in common, and how that should reflect your brand or change the way you create, or the value propositions that you use, or the call to actions that you give them.
I love that.
It's a lot.
Phenomenal advice.
Homework.
Go back and rewatch that a couple times over again. I'm not kidding. I'll go back and rewatch that clip in particular. The whole thing, obviously. So then I have a follow-up kind of question for that then. Let's just talk for a minute to the brand new entrepreneurs out there, okay? These are people that are maybe watching and they've gotten 55 minutes into the podcast, right? And they're like, Buck, I'm brand new. Like I want to be an entrepreneur. I've been watching YouTube. I've been watching, Instagram and TikTok, right? And podcasts and but I don't really have a business yet. Like I think I have maybe a couple of ideas. I'm kind of playing around with social media. Where do they begin? Should they start creating a brand regardless of whether or not they have like the big idea? Or should they go put all of their energy and focus into getting figuring the big idea out, getting it off the ground, and then creating the personal brand?
I think two things that come to mind. Number one, I just finished yesterday. I was in Dallas with a guy named Coach Burt. I don't know if you know who that is. Coach Michael Burt.
I've heard of him.
His whole strategy. He was a massive, literal coach. Like for basketball teams, won state championships. Like really, just an amazing inspiration to people and getting them motivated to go to the next step of their life. But his whole focus now is purpose. You got to find your purpose. I literally took notes on purpose. He, much like I say, interview your past clients, says interview the people around you because you got to find a unique skill set in your life that you love to do. Ask them, what do you think I'm really good at? What are the 3 things you think I'm really good at? If you're stuck on your purpose, go focus on building your purpose first. I would say do not build a business if you don't have purpose. Now, do you need, this is the challenge. What do they call it? Someone who overanalyzes. There's that something by what is it called? Hit me with it.
Oh man,
you get an award if you can think of what I'm trying to say.
I know exactly what.
I got it. Ready? I won the award. Analysis paralysis.
Yep, there you go.
Don't do that.
Yeah.
You don't need the 10-year goal spreadsheet, with everything. Like if you got a general idea, look, you can always pivot. We all did. You and I both did. I was in TV, radio. I went to agency, then web celeb space. Now my 3rd agency. So you can pivot, but find the unique skill set that drives the purpose. And then I say start. The second thing I would say, and this might be controversial to some people, it's a conversation people bring up often. I've heard Gary Vee talk about this. Work for somebody else. Fail on their dime while you figure out your purpose. I would say, now listen, I'm not pushing my kids. I have 3 kids. I'm not pushing my son or my daughter into college. I'm just not. If they want to, I'll support it. But I'm really pushing entrepreneurship to all three of them because I believe they all have it in them to do that. My middle child might be an athlete. I don't know. He doesn't want to be. He's a soccer star. He's wild. Maybe he'll make more than all of us. It could be. So, look, what they want to do is what they want to do. But I'm not a big believer to go to school. I want them to be entrepreneurs unless they're doctors or lawyers. They need a specific trade or skill.
Sure.
But I would say build a business, but learn on somebody else. Just apprentice. Be an apprentice. Find a mentor and shadow somebody. Learn just enough to be dangerous, but don't hang out for the next 15, 20 years. I wish I had started my business even sooner. I think my first agency, I was 24, 25. I wish I'd started at 21.
Yeah.
If we could go back and know what we know now. But, still, that first agency wasn't massive. I didn't make millions of dollars in my first year. The second one was much bigger, and then obviously my third one's doing really well.
Yeah.
So, but I learned from other people along the way that helped each agency create more success.
It's so cool.
Yeah, so that'd be my advice. It's like, apprentice with someone.
You talked a minute ago about figuring out your passion or your skill set. What's yours? If you could, you built agencies.
Yeah.
You've built brands, you've spoke on stage, you've done all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
But if you had to narrow, what is that? What is all that in a word or two? What do you do? What does Buck Wise do? Do you rally people? You know what I mean?
When I so funny story, I tried to work directly with Nike before my agency was acquired into the second agency. There's agency life and there's brand life. And agencies get more opportunity to work on lots of things, but if you're brand side, they're a little more pretentious. If you're like, I was the director of digital for Nike versus for me, I was head of strategy for Nike running on the agency side. So I wasn't a Nike employee, right? And so I tried very hard. So I had a mentor. His name was Musa Tark. If you look up that name, he worked at Burberry and then Apple, and then he moved to Nike. And I hounded him for months. And he traveled around the world, and he was never in Portland, Oregon. And that's where I was with my second agency. And I said, dude, I got to meet you. I got to meet you. And so I finally met him. He's like, asked me that exact question, very young age. What's your skill? And I said, I'm a unicorn. I can do it all. And he goes, I've never seen a job description that says, I do it all. And I said, okay. And he goes, you got to find the one thing. We hire people to do one thing exceptional. Not even website, like SEO. Specifically SEO.
Right.
Specifically, not website, copywriting in a website for international, for running. Specific, job titles are specific. So he's like, you got to hone it in. So I meet a lot of people who are eclectic and have unicorn capabilities and skill sets. And I always tell them you got to hone in on what that thing is. And so I had a few abilities growing up, which was one, the art of communication, because I learned at 17 years old, iHeartRadio, how to speak, entertain, impact, add value, build the community, all those things. So that was like my one thing, which I think now translates to sales. I'm really good at sales because I listen, I ask the right questions, I understand the process, and I'm really good at communicating the value to anybody. Really good. I'd say exceptional at sales. But two, and what got most of my focus in my career is strategy.
Yeah.
I'm not a creative. Don't ask me to design something. I tell my team all the time, Riley, who's in here shooting me with the B-roll, I'm like, Riley, you tell me what looks better. Like, I don't have a creative. I am a strategist. I will tell you why, who, and where. I'm really good at building personal brand strategies, which is the foundation of our agency.
Sure.
The key is having other leaders in your organization that now you're teaching them to have the same principles and understanding of what's important and how it works.
Yeah.
And so that's the next phase of the agency is just duplication. And we've got a lot of great talent all over the world right now that are doing that.
Super cool.
But yeah, I would say, don't ask me to name one, Austin. Come on, man. You want one?
You pretty much gave me one, I think.
Okay.
I think we're good. Yeah. And I do see what you mean on the you have to have one, like what that guy was saying that you were talking about, Musi. Yeah. I do think, however, that pertains specifically to large companies. I think that
Corporate,
the bigger the company gets, the more niche every employee has to be.
Yes. But like when you started, you were probably the garbage man too.
1,000,000%.
Yeah, you have to.
And then, but then even when you get to like 10 or 15 or 20 people, you still have like, I'll still have people, and we're at 220 now between the different companies. And I still have people where like, we'll joke about it. It's like, hey, you're the transaction coordinator, but when the printer goes down, go fix the printer. Like, you know,
Are you still doing that
if
with
we have a
200
Wi-Fi
people?
Well, you know, I mean, you can't have, there's still things, that's an example. There are still things, like why would I hire somebody at 200 people to come organize silverware in my kitchen, in my office
So
kitchen?
you're still going to do that?
I'm not going to do that.
No.
But I'm going to find somebody who already has a job here, right? And maybe their job is to, who knows? It's probably somebody on the lower end here that they're working their way up, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, hey, when you're not doing what you're doing, I need you to go organize the kitchen.
Sure, of
I need
course.
you to put water in the fridge. I need you to, like, you know what I mean?
I think one of the learning lessons I've had is in a company or organization, as a leader, you really have to do everything the first time. At least once, even if you're not good at it. Because the problem is you say, I don't organize silverware. I'm going to hire someone to organize it for me. They'll never do it the right way.
They never
They'll
will.
never do it the way you want. And so you always have to do it first and then show them how to do it. And so
Every
that's
time.
why I feel like every job,
Yep.
you had to build the CRM, and then you brought in a CRM specialist and said, do it like this because I know it works.
Yep.
You know?
And then you get bigger, and then where the magic really happens, and you know more than anybody, you know more than me, is you do everything you just mentioned.
Yeah.
100% accurate, right?
Yeah.
You do it, and you master it, and you teach it exactly the way you want it to. And people respect you because they know at one point you've done it.
Yes.
So that's the other part of it. But then magic starts to happen, I think. And I don't know if it's after 100 people or when it might be different for everybody. But eventually, you can afford people who are actually better than you.
1,000,000%.
And then those people come in and they're like, nah, you've been doing it wrong the whole time.
But-
do it like this.
Yes, but they're technically more capable than you.
Yeah.
But they don't understand business. They don't have contrast. They have context to a skill. So you still have, even though they're better, you have to have checkpoints of like accountability in that role of like, you're better at this than me, and you will never catch me doing it, and you'll do it 3 times faster than me.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day,
If you happen to be a real estate agent in the state of Arizona and you're looking to make a lot more money in 2024, then listen up. I actually run the largest team in the entire state of Arizona, and we'll do over $500 million in production in 2024 alone. We have over 100 agents, and we have 3 office locations throughout the valley. We have a Chandler office location, which is absolutely beautiful. We have a Scottsdale office location, which is where I'm at right now. And then we have a Peoria office location as well. So no matter where you live in the valley, we have a location for you. We also are one of Zillow's top premier teams in the entire state. So if you're looking to receive Zillow leads, then you definitely want to consider joining our team. And we have 37 other lead generation opportunities as well. And obviously we do transaction coordination for you and everything of the sort, so you can do what you're good at and focus on selling real estate. If you want to learn more about joining our team, go to www.joinkpz.com, and I look forward to talking to you more.
accountability to the data of every role. How does it create a direct effect on business? And is it tangible? I need you to tell me what you did today. How did it? And every day I need you to report to me, how did that move the needle for the business?
I love that.
That's because that's the other tricky part. That's like the last part is like they're better than you
At that one thing.
at that one thing,
but they don't have
know
the macro.
Nope. They don't know business. And the other challenge I'll mention, since we're on that subject of hiring people to solve problems, you cannot hire my agency to be your personal brand. We are there to help build and promote you, organize and strategize you. People who are quote unquote introverts and say, I know I need this. I need to start. I'm just going to give you money. Just make me famous. Like it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Like you got to do the work. You can't hire me to solve your personal brand. I will help you speed the process up. and I will maximize the ROI on the way you're doing it and where you're trying to go that drives actual revenue into the business. So it's just so many entrepreneurs just like, I mean, I get it. Look, I run a business too. We're stressed. It's like end of the day, you're like, what did I forget? What's on fire? Who am I hiring? Was I supposed to fire someone today? You know, like every day you're like, what did I miss? So like, I get it. You're just like, sure. You think money's just going to solve the problem. Like the personal brand doesn't work that way.
Sure. Yeah. I love that. All right. One or two more questions and then we'll wrap. I want to go to personal real quick. 'Cause I'm always curious. This is about me more than anybody.
Let's
right?
hear it.
You know, I believe that there's all these different areas of life, right? You've got like your physical health, your spiritual health, your mental health, you know, your relation, right? You know, boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife.
Sure.
How do you manage it all? Do you believe in balance? What do you recommend? Tony Robbins talks about integration.
Yeah.
But I've had, I think you're 110 on the pod. And everybody, believe it or not, they all have a different way of doing it. So I'm always curious, how do you do it all? How do you balance it all? How do you keep it all going?
I take Grant's philosophy that there is no such thing as work-life balance. There really isn't. You either enjoy it and it's intertwined and it's on and off at all micro moments of the day or night. Or, you know, if you try to do the separation thing, like I feel like you miss pieces. And so I don't have like I'm not saying you can't take a sabbatical, like where you really turn off and go away. But day to day, realistic throughout your annual year, it's all mixed in. My philosophy is my son is on stages speaking with me. I was just in San Francisco at a big lending conference, and I brought my kid, and he took notes. And I said, Logan, he's 10. I said, get up here. I have a great quote. I'll send it to your editor. He can splice it
That'd
in
be
right
cool.
here.
Yeah.
All right, just remind me. I'll splice it
We
in.
will.
But it's like, I said, Logan, get up here. He comes up. I said, what do you got there? He goes, I got a notebook. I said, are you taking notes? He goes, yeah. I said, who's not taking notes? This 10-year-old's taking notes, learning and listening. I said, you guys think I'm kidding. Read one of your notes. And he read one of the notes, which is a Brad Lee quote that I'd used on stage. And he goes, literally, he had written it down. I was so proud of him. He goes, the more hands you shake,
The more money you make.
the more money you make. And the crowd erupts.
Yeah.
They're like, yeah. They're like
I love
freak.
that.
Yeah, they're freak. But like, you know, I need him to see this. This is life, bro.
Yeah.
We're gonna go to
So
dinner.
cool.
We're gonna shake. Ryan Serhant was there. He got to meet Ryan in person. He's like, who's that tall guy with gray hair? You know, like he gets to go on stage. He's getting comfortable in front of audiences. I gave him a goal at this. Now this is a funny story. At this event in San Francisco, we were in the bathroom and we were like, you know, washing his hands. He had a suit on, tucking his shirt in. I said, okay, buddy. I said, this is your goal. You ready? I need you. Ready? What was my quote? How many people did you meet today that you didn't know yesterday? So I need you to meet 5 people you don't know, because there were a couple people there he kind of knew. He goes, okay. He goes, and so I was teaching him, like, go up and I say, hi, my name's Logan. Coach Burt, the guy I was telling you about, used to have a course. I don't know if he does anymore. He teaches kids skills that schools don't teach. How to make eye contact, how to shake a hand, how to introduce yourself. It's for like 15 and under. And my kid went through that boot camp.
Yeah.
So I'm like, use the eye contact. You come in, you say, my name is Logan. What do you do for a living? That's really cool. Now, he doesn't have a lot of dialogue
Sure,
after it,
yeah.
but it's the basics,
Yeah.
basic life skills. So there was a guy in a stall, and I was on stage, and it was Q&A time. He raised his hand. He asked me a very similar question. He was like, dude, that was the coolest thing I heard you telling your kid he had to go meet 5 people. And that wasn't planned. I was like, I didn't plant him or anything. And so that, I mean,
Yeah.
mix it together.
Yeah,
man.
for sure.
Mix it together.
And I totally agree. I'm glad that you said that. I'm a big believer in that, and I've heard a lot of different things. I want the audience, obviously, anybody who watches any of my content consistently, to hear the variation of the different people. But I totally agree with you.
Yeah.
And I'll tell people that I disagree with too. By the way, I'm happy to tell them that.
Yeah, creatives are like, no, man, you got to shut the phone off at night.
Bro, like you just met my creative director, is my fiance. You know, like we go home, we're working, we're grinding,
It's
and then the next
nonstop.
minute we'll watch a TV show for a little while. We won't grind for a little while, and then I'll pull out my phone, I'll be grinding, you know, and it's just the reality of it, right? But I enjoy it, I love it.
Well, I think that's the key. You got to be in sync
Yeah.
with your partner
You do.
and communicate and be open. And if they're not like that, it ain't gonna mesh.
It ain't gonna mesh. No, not at all. You got to make sure you got to be with the right person for sure.
That's it.
All right, dude. Last question. You can tell the whole world one piece of advice, there's one thing you've learned in your life. You could maybe leave it with your kids. Maybe for some reason you could just leave them with one thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, hey, like your little bro, your 10-year-old, right? Here's one thing that you got to remember for the rest of your life. What would that thing be?
If you knew you wouldn't fail, what would you do today? That's it.
I love that.
If failure wasn't an option, how would you do it differently right now? It's that simple. Too many people are stuck in fear, and they'll never truly live until they remove it, face it, and go right through it. I've never had a failure that I didn't learn from and come out better on the other side.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying everything that you go towards ends up the way you want, but I promise you, I've never had a failure where I didn't end up better on the other side. So what do you have to lose? Go after it.
True.
Yeah.
I love that quote, dude. I couldn't agree more. I think even people like you and me have to remind ourselves of that.
Yeah.
There are days where, we get stuck, right? I get stuck, even at where you're at and where I'm at and where Grant is at. And you have to constantly be like, wait a minute. Like, why am I not taking action right now? Like, why am I not doing that thing that I know I should be doing?
Yep.
Because I'm afraid of the outcome.
That's it.
Right?
That's it.
And I love that, dude. That's awesome. How do people find you, Buck? If they do want to do some content with you, if they want to hire your company, how do they find you there, and where do they go?
Very easy. I am all about IG.
Cool.
Instagram @AboutBuck. And here's my number one rule. Don't you dare follow me and not say hi. People are too passive on social. The average user spends 2 seconds to decide, ready? 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Is that interesting? 1, 2, 1, 2. It's too passive.
Yeah.
If you're going to listen to this podcast, you're like, guy's kind of interesting. I'll see what he's up to. Follow. Say hi. Hey, my name is Chris, Jenny, Amber, Tim, whatever it is. Hi, I saw you on the podcast. It was great. It's awesome. Doesn't mean you have to buy anything. Just connect. I know one of your customers, I promise you. You might be one of mine, or you might know someone who's one of mine. Where there's a relationship, there's always an exchange of value somewhere. And it might be for you. So no one's selling to anybody. Just say hi. People are so afraid to say hi. Yesterday I went to a conference. I had, 200 follows. One person says, by the way, that was really great. Reach out. So what I do, and I can't always do this. If I was Grant status, I can't do this. But I'm not like you. I go back to zero. I try to humble myself. 200 follows. I will go through each one because they don't say hi. And I don't even do text or copy. I do video to each one. And I go, hey, it was really great to see you there. It was really nice to, speak at your event. Would love to get to know you. So send me a video, introduce yourself, say hi.
I love that.
I'm big on that.
Yeah, very cool. Okay, go. You got everybody. You got to go say hi. Especially if they made it to the very end of the podcast. Dude, it's like, come on.
Yeah, the stats on people making it to the end of a podcast, you're one of I think 10 to 15%.
Yeah, it's not good.
Yeah. So hopefully the numbers were higher. There's 20%.
I'm hoping. Yeah, we got to look at ours. I think we do pretty good.
Good.
Yeah.
Awesome, man.
Well, Buck, I really appreciate you being here, man. When we're in the new studio, we'll get you back in a year or two, see what you're up to, see if you've scaled it. Massive. Maybe you sold that company by that time.
Let's go. No, I'm a partner with One Roof Real Estate.
There you go.
There we go.
And we will. We'll do something together for sure.
I love it.
Yeah,
dude.
I appreciate you, man. Thank you.
Man.
Hey, if you're still watching, all Buck's information will be down below too. So if you didn't hear it correctly or whatever, check it down below. And then make sure you like the video, okay? Subscribe. Do whatever you got to do. We greatly appreciate it. It means the world, and we'll see you in the next one.